Good morning, everybody. We're in the middle of learning the halachas, the laws of honoring your father and mother, and we started learning specifically the laws of fearing your father and mother. One has to fear his father and mother. Included in these laws is one is not permitted to contradict his father. If your father says something, this and this is what happened in the news, or this and this story took place, or whatever it is that your father says, you're not permitted to contradict him. Whether it's to his face or even behind his back, you cannot contradict something that your father or mother said. Not only that, you cannot even agree. Meaning, if your father says something and you say, I agree with you, that's also wrong. Because you're saying that you're somebody to agree or to disagree, as if your opinion is going to be a deciding factor here. Your father said something, he said something. By you saying, I agree with your opinion, what you're saying is that my opinion is worthy to be a deciding factor in whether what you said is true or not true. That's inappropriate. One is not permitted to do that. If your father's having an argument with somebody and you have proofs to your father's position, then in defense of your father's position, you can bring proofs. That is allowed. Included in fear of your father is also that you cannot say his name. You cannot call your father by his first name. If your father's name is Yitzchak, you can't say Yitzchak when you call him. You have to say Abba. Now, if you're not calling your father by the name, but your friend and your father both have the same name. They both have the same Yitzchak, the same name Yitzchak. And you mean to call your friend, and your father is there as well, so you cannot call your friend Yitzchak while your father is there. That's a zilzul. That's also disrespecting your father by saying his name even to somebody else at the same time. If someone asks you, what is your father's name? You should not say my father, you should not just say Yitzchak, but rather you should say with a toar, with a title. You should say, my father, my master, Rabbi Yitzchak. Add a title to it before you say your father's name. Don't just say, my father's name is Yitzchak. If you're writing a document, and in one of the boxes, you got to put your father's name, it would be better if you could write Reb Yitzchak, but being that that's not practical, one is permitted to just write his father's name, Yitzchak, in a document when he's writing it. Now, if your father has the name Yitzchak and your friend has the name Yitzchak, so we said you cannot call your friend Yitzchak while your father is there, even though you're talking to your friend, but your father's going to hear it. If your father's not there and you're just talking to your friend who happens to have the same name, then you are permitted to say Yitzchak as you talk to your friend, being that your father is not there. What's an interesting halacha is if your father has a very out-of-the-box name. I myself had this issue where my father's name is unique. It's not a common name. He had two names. Both his names are very not common. So in that case where your father has a very not common name, random name, and your friend has the same random name, you are not permitted to call your friend by his name even when your father is not there. You're talking to your friend on the phone, your father's in a different country, but you're going to be saying your friend's name, and it's the same name as your father's name is, and it's also a strange random name. That is as well disrespectful to your father, and one cannot do it. I myself had a friend who had the same name as my father, and it was an issue. That, I think, will be it for today with the laws of fearing both your father and your mother. Have a good day, everybody.